as Eli Manning stays on his feet. It is caught by Tyree.
Welcome to Catch the Moment Podcast. I'm your host, David Tyree. Super excited to bring you something special this week. Every week, you guaranteed to get where you got to go on your process journey. And we're going to get there. Today, I have a very special friend of mine, because we're kindred spirits, Rhonda Vetere. She is a dynamic change turnaround expert in the IT field. She's an author. She's more than just the catch. Rhonda, thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm honored to be here. My goodness.
No.
To be sitting here with you.
You are the reason this exists. So, oh my goodness. Well, I can't say where do we start, because every week we start and we ask, okay, get the easy stuff out. Where were you when you saw the helmet catch back in 2008? And any thoughts, any little stories, little anecdotes, they're always fun to talk about.
Oh my goodness. Well, 2008, I was watching you and I was glued to the TV. First off, I'm an NFL fanatic. I don't think you know that.
No, I don't. I did. Well, when you have, you're so well versed, you're so diverse in your experience. I wouldn't have assumed that.
That's my dream job in the NFL, but that's a technology conversation.
I got you.
But I like sports. So I was watching you and I was rooting for the Giants.
Awesome. Even better. So now
NFC East. I grew up in Virginia,
yes.
New York, and I was actually hosting a Super Bowl party. I'm usually at the Super Bowl, but that year
you hosted.
I hosted it at my house. So we were watching you on TV.
Nice. So good vibes, everybody. Oh, did you have majority?
Oh,
was you had a couple Patriot fans in there?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so y'all got a chance to rejoice real good over there.
We did. And It was a moment. My gosh, how high you jumped. That was amazing.
So I'm the black guy who can't jump. So the white man can't jump. I'm the black guy who can't jump. I had the 31-inch vertical jump. And if you know, that's not good. Like 40 is like, oh my God. 35 is like average for a wide receiver. I'm like, and of course, that's why I needed my miracle.
It's amazing. I replayed it. I keep watching it. It is the number one. I mean, oh my goodness.
So you heard it there. And then we put all stuff to rest. Rhonda said it's done.
It's amazing. I mean.
Nah, thanks for sharing this. It's like I said, it's a moment that sports fans and all, it's like everybody remembers where they were, what they were doing, what was going on. It's always cool. So I'm gonna kind of try to stump you a little bit, because there's so many different areas and experiences that I actually know of that you have. So throughout your career and some of your experiences, what would you say is your most treasured moment?
Unlike you with that catch. Oh my goodness.
That's a lot.
Set a bar high, no pun intended
No.
But my gosh, I would say, I always take hard assignments.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do.
So I would probably say early in my career going to India.
Okay.
And then later in my career was athletics.
All right, so when she says go to India, she went to India and like turned around a company. When she said athletics, that means she ran a triathlon or ultra marathon. So give me either one or two of those moments specifically where this was a crown in your heart.
My crown on my heart was when I woke up in India and I was in the financial services world and we just started hiring in India. So I was one of the pioneers that started hiring people in India and building out innovation centers.
Wow.
And people were complaining years ago. Wow. And now it's come full circle with innovation centers around the world. And I was dressing in saris. I just got back from India 2 weeks ago.
And I saw some of that on IG, and it was pretty. And you actually gave me I'm like, wow. So paint some of that picture, because you talk about a sari. What's a sari? And tell me how you evolved into like really owning the culture.
Oh, I love that question. So I think cultural immersion is so important when you're leading, and just to be in the moment, in the catch, embrace the moment.
I love it.
You need to get to know people.
Sure.
I embrace every culture I'm in. I wear it. I wear the saris. I have over 200. I wear them when I'm over there, and you know what? They're more comfortable than jeans and blazers.
Yeah.
Probably because I spent years in saris.
Wow.
And people were like, because some are like, they're heavy. First off,
they're heavy? Okay, you just called me off guard. I'm like, isn't that the whole point? You out here feeling good and smooth? I'm thinking there's maybe some satin sorry or something.
It looks like it is all bi-directional, but when you tuck it in, those beads, it's heavy. Wow. And it's going on, but it's so comfortable and free-flowing. So I've known it for 20 years. So I'm in my happy place over there. The people are grateful. And I think gratitude's a lot of it.
There it is.
People, I just, in Cape Town's the same way. If you were to ask me to go around the world, I can tell you all about embracing the culture and the people. And I love international because I'm a diverse thinker.
Oh my goodness.
And I believe in diversity of thought. And I embrace the cultures and I live it. I don't just, when I show up, I'm literally in it. I have friends around the world from my career, and I've kept those relationships. So I think it's a disrespect if you don't embrace their culture.
It's powerful. Yeah, it's, and obviously, America is what America is and all of her beauty. So I try not to demean, but we do have our blind spots and, as the quote unquote leader of the free world, so to speak. And I think you obviously can speak probably more uniquely to that. But like when you're talking about diversity of thought, that's a whole, we can go deep. Your role as a especially now very much viewed as a tech pioneer, change, innovation. How does that really come into play in how you approach your job when you're going to work with the company?
I love it. So I've been over 162 countries in one of my companies. So how people work in Korea is faster than people work in Singapore. Even Hong Kong and Singapore work differently.
Wow.
And they're in the same region. So I approach how innovation is in the world, how the workforce works. In Poland, you put more skilled folks, and Poland's an innovation hub. So much untapped talent in Poland, by the way.
Wow.
So I approach it with what's the business outcome we're trying to do, and I reverse engineer what we need to do from a diversity of thought, where people need to go, and making sure everything is 24/7 on its own, because you can't have a single point of failure. Just like if you're on the football field, you want to have diversity. No. Who do I go to? Who's my open catch at the moment?
You want different talents. You want different, different speeds, different skill sets. Oh my goodness. And ultimately there's different, IQ capacities and components that really, so this is powerful. So, before we stay too much in abstract thought, because you work with obviously some of the best companies in the world. I know off the head, JP Morgan Chase, I met you at HCL Suite, which was an amazing experience.
Yes.
So I want to backtrack because obviously you have a unique, a high performance mentality, and not just in your work approach, but just the life, right? So you're the author of a book called Grit and Grind. Where was this mindset cultivated? Is it in childhood? Like, you're an athlete. Walk me through some of that.
That's a good question. My mindset was cultivated. I've worked since I was 12. I put myself through college. I'm self-made.
Woo.
I didn't have a choice. My mom and dad said, if you want it, you go out and work for it. And I'm an only, and I'm still to this day, I'm so happy.
Did you? I'm gonna get back to your story. Did you feel like that was too tough coming from mom at the time, or did you have to work your way through that, or was that? I'm sure you see the benefit of it now, but how was that at the moment? Because the world is like the exact opposite now.
Right. Well, I was a swimmer growing up, so I had to give up one of my sports so I could work and put myself through school. So I do IRONMAN 70.3.
Yes, you do.
And I got back into that. And we could talk about how my athletic mindset is about performance data. But I have worked since I was that. And I'm glad my mom did it. The moment I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. She's like, honey, we don't have it. You have to put yourself through school. So during college, I went to school full time and I worked full time in college too.
Ooh.
So I literally was, and I'm proud of this. I want more people to know it. that, because you don't see that in today's world. And I talk about it more openly now.
Sure.
Because it's not instant gratification.
Oh man, and I think that's been the misperception about technology.
Oh.
It's not just the convenience; it's really supposed to be optimization, and so this is really powerful for me because, of course, like I said, I'm a parent. I'm raising kids. We out here, we're trying to get these kids the right mindset. It's the exact opposite, and so here we are. We're talking about somebody with this high performance approach, but it came out of the lack of options, right? So we're in the world of options, and I think I'm in a similar road. Like, we didn't have options. We didn't have a car growing up. So
Right.
you found ways to thrive and survive, thrive, and eventually arrive. So tell me more again, like in relation to just your journey through working, college, and how you begin to hone in on your approach.
I love it. So sports was always a part of my life. So I always
Awesome.
had that team camaraderie.
Great.
But I'm an only child, so all my girlfriends are from 2 years old to 3, and I've kept them through my life. And
Really?
They've gone through fashion. Yeah, we are like
Your friends?
My friends.
Lifelong friends.
They're all showing up December 3rd in New York City. I throw a party every year, only girlfriends. My whole lineage is there.
So amazing.
And I plan it a year in advance. So I'm a very loyal, humble, and we all celebrate life. I call it the gratitude gala, because I want to give back from everything. We've come from nothing. And if I'm the person that can help change someone's life, David, I'm committed to doing it to the next generation. So my mentality came from, I was that little girl who had nothing. I know what it's like to work, and that's why I'm so committed to giving back and making sure performance speaks for itself in the workplace and rewards the right behavior.
Rewards the right behavior. Woo!
And incentivizes the right behavior.
That's excellent.
So at the executive board, I make sure there's data points, and I just knew this from growing up. I'm like, this isn't fair. I'm working hard. I just need a chance.
Ooh.
And if someone would give me a chance, and I fell into technology.
All right, so and she said she fell into technology. I found this out. So you go to college and you get a communications degree.
And I had an international business, but my bachelor's is in communications and
not to demean the communications. It was this is a story. All right, so how do you fall into and let's now mind you, she's clearly ageless, right? So we're looking at she's clearly ageless. And so, I'll say my age, she's slightly older than me. So we talk about, when you say pioneer, this is a pioneer in every way. There weren't, the beautiful thing is there's so much conversations around DEI, diversity,
Right.
equity, and inclusion, especially now more so in tech. You got fintech. There's so many cool dynamics that technology is running through. And so, but at your time, breaking in, tell me about that experience. And I would even, I might ask you for some of the dirty details and some of these dirt bags that I'm sure you've come across. Yeah, so
feel free. Well, I would say I've grown up in male-dominant fields, so this is where my sports mentality came into play. What's the goal? Where am I going? Where's the goalpost? And how am I being incentivized? Number one, I'm competitive, but I'm not going to be a jerk and roll people over. It's about teamwork.
It's great.
So I always brought that mentality from, it's a team. It's not about I, it's about we, and keep going. Let's race across America. You asked me for my other moment, racing a bike 3,070 miles in this past June. We could talk about that later.
All right.
But that mentality, putting together a high performance team to go across America, I wrote it, did it. I bring that to the workplace, David. So I fell into tech, I think because of my mindset.
Okay.
I came out of college. I'm going to date myself.
It's all right. It's all right. Give it to us.
Remember the AOL and CompuServe days?
This is legendary.
Oh, legend.
We talk about dial-up, y'all. Beautiful. Don't worry. This is beautiful. You're here. This is joy in my heart. Don't worry. I wasn't poor, but I just want you to know when AOL was sitting there by free, I didn't even have a computer. My mom got a word processor. That's how bad things was in my.
Oh gosh.
That is amazing. So here you actually around in that era, in the basically the .com boom.
I was in the .com boom, managing out of college data centers. So hired me for my comms and my management experience because I had worked. So I had 6 years on everyone because I put myself through college and high school. So I had 6 years, and everyone was like, "How did you get a management job coming out of college?" I'm like, "Well, I've been working for 4 years in college, and plus in high school I was working." So when I applied, everyone's like, "You have a degree and you've done this and you put yourself through college." I didn't know at the time what a mindset that was.
Yeah. You didn't even know that it was uncommon.
I didn't know.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. This is Matabella.
I had no idea. I was just being myself and doing what I needed to do. And I fell into tech, managing and running cables. And then the next thing I know, girls with code. The next thing I know, I'm provisioning circuits. I didn't look up. Here's the beautiful story, which you're going to get first. I never looked up and I was like, I'm in a male-dominant field for the last 20 years. And I never thought anything about it. Because you know what? I'm about performance. And I get this question so much now.
Sure.
I said, don't call me up.
It's probably almost spewed on you. It's like they want to make an issue that maybe that doesn't exist, even though we know issues exist.
Yeah, I'm like, don't call me up for performance. Don't call me up to fill a candidate slate for a woman.
Woo!
And I'm going to say it on your because it's about performance.
Oh, this is so warm. And as a black man, I'm on the other side of that, and I'm for DEI. That's not the issue. It's that, but it really actually does boil down to that at the end of the day. And everybody has their own process. There are, what we call them unconscious bias,
right.
And we understand that there's systems that are really straining, progress. But at the end of the day, when you're in the grind and it boils down to getting a result.
And I'm so happy, Dave, with all my male friends, since I've grown up in the male-dominant field in the Wolf of Wall Street days, they're my friends.
That is so awesome.
And they supported. I didn't even know at the time how unique it was because they respected the performance. They knew I was not going to delineate from my moral compass, number one. They know I'm a sports person. They knew that, okay, what's the goal? We're going to go as a team. I'm not here, Heisman trophying someone out, stiff arming them. I'm embracing everyone.
This is tremendous because that's actually how you really win. Meaning when you have, when you have the giver's mindset, meaning like, I have more to give. And I think about that in my approach to relationships, but it goes through I'm not going to lose when I give myself.
Right.
And I think a lot of times people are just measuring whatever they have to offer so they don't feel like they're going to lose a unique opportunity. And I think your competency, your bandwidth, your belief, this is really good. So, all right. So give me an idea of understanding that, not just the male dominant side. What was the greatest struggle within some of these moments? I mean, like, what was a dark place for you where you might have felt like walls were closing in around you? Share with me one of those.
Oh gosh,
one of those seasons.
Which one do I want to spend? Because all of these different ones, when the dark walls were closing in, when companies didn't want to change, even recently. Like, why don't you want to change? I get there's a culture DNA that you want to keep within a company, but you also need to bring in new talent to mix up the DNA.
All right.
It's all about clicking and the dynamics and the mindset and trying to get that understood. They've been here for 30 years, Rhonda. Why?
Okay.
Like, those conversations are, let's just put it on the table, tough to have.
Heck yeah. And I'm sure that's true with individuals even more so when you talk about a successful company that has years of experience in measured success. So how was it difficult? So I know that's frustrating because number one, you're like, I got the goods. So once you assess it, is there a unique experience that you felt like, I don't want to call it like, whether it was stress, whether it was just the adversity, it was something was there a loss that you took in some of your approaches toward companies? Did you go in there? You ever had any failures that was like, I blew this one up? So how, because ultimately I know someone like your mindset, that's probably one of the biggest growth points for you. So, give me some of that, or even if it's in the marathon space. What has been a dark night for Rhonda Vetere?
A dark night is when everyone around you is like, you're going too fast. Too fast. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We got to keep endurance athletes. I'm an endurance athlete. I want to keep going. Like, slow down. Like, what do you mean slow down? In a tech world,
sure,
you're innovating, you're creating. You need to move fast. You'll become obsolete.
There it is.
And more people trying to get everyone to understand that,
sure,
is a place where you have to keep digging in and having those uncomfortable conversations.
Okay.
And I think people need to know that when you tell a high performer to slow down,
crush.
What? It's like saying, don't go up and have your moment, because you could see it and visualize it.
Sure.
So that's like telling a division to slow down for others to follow up when you're really leading the charge.
Wow.
And I think that's the differentiator. And it's like, okay, let's back up.
Sure.
Let's have the conversation. Why? Why would you even say that?
Yeah.
That's a red flag up the pole waving high.
Yeah.
Because you should embrace that.
Sure.
Because you want to go.
Sure.
I mean, who wants to sit there and just keep the lights on?
Definitely not in business, okay? Definitely not in business. We're definitely not here for that. We're not here to save face. And obviously, that's where trouble. That's where you get a little smoke. Where you see smoke, eventually there's fire, and they bring you in to put the fires out.
Did someone say, "Don't go and catch that"? Don't go and do what you do best.
Well, you know what? It's like, when I think about those moments, it's like, everybody. You would think everybody's trying to march toward a moment of significance or success, and what I like to really unearth is what was the process, right? So when I consider your journey, was there ever a point of rejection? Was there ever a point of, because what happens is, I know with high performance mindsets, you know how to move on to the next play very quickly without being emotionally affected. But did you ever was there ever a moment for you where you had to step away and like, wow, like maybe I'm wounded. Maybe I'm more hurt than I actually realized, because we're going to press through. We're going to get back in the game. So those are the human elements that sometimes we might not look at. You think about a soldier coming home from the war.
Right.
All he knows is how to continue to survive. So those are the things that I kind of think of that could be blind spots for high performers too.
They are.
So, that's kind of like what I'm thinking about, not just your frustration. Because I'm like, no, you're made of something. And it's probably those early foundational work days, and so those are the kind of moments that I know have cultivated and allows you to do those things. So at what point, and if there's another story, we'll get to it. But like, okay, so you're an athlete. Mm-hmm. How do these crazy marathon bike across the world, the globe? I'm like, how? Okay, so like, how does that really begin? Because you have a budding career. At what point did you just dive into this space as an ultra athlete? I
love that question. So the higher my intensity got at work is when I knew I needed to work out and have an outlet. So I didn't go down the whole drinking path, stress outlet. So I needed an outlet. So when I was flying around 200 days plus 50 days a year, I would land and go run. And everyone would find me on the treadmill and have meetings. After we landed, 4 a.m, HCL. Yeah. Our friends there, they would come down at 4 and 5 in the morning. I got them in a workout routine. Years ago. And I could say that openly because they've talked about it. And they would be, and to this day, they're still doing it.
Amazing.
And that's where, you bring that mentality, you impacted people's lives. But my sports mentality came from a swimmer, and then I picked up the IRONMAN 70.3s. I've done over 92 races now.
All right. Oh my goodness. All right, so check that. And I've done 0, just so everybody knows, duly noted. But eventually, Rhonda's gonna drag me in,
Yes,
so
you are. She's racing across America this year.
She's gonna drag me in. But okay, so before we break down clear, just so everybody clarity, what you're doing in an Ironman race.
In a 70.3, you're swimming 1.2 miles. You're biking 56. And then you run 13.1 miles in the same day. You have to do it in less than 8 hours or you're disqualified. So you have to do it. And I love that. It comes from my swimming background.
Yeah, that's the best place to start. And that's what I encourage everybody. Start in the pool, okay? Because a mile, 1.3 miles?
1.2 miles swimming.
Yeah, so that might be a problem. Because apparently, I ain't got no more fat, so, I might sink, I might, get tired and sink.
You could do this, David. You might have Bike Across America next year. We'll talk about that offline. But
next year, you're just going to give me a year? Just 1 year? You think I'll get
Less
it?
than.
Just, okay. I'm
You
just
can
going
do it.
coming off the couch, out of retirement, out of raising 7 kids, and I'm going to bike across the country. But she believes, so.
I believe in you and just did it this June. With the team put together, hand-selected, veterans, athletes. I had some U.S. Olympic athletes, Navy SEALs, military CEOs, but they were all hand-selected for a reason. And some people bike across America just to say they have rode across America and they stack it with pros, but this is for a cause. To get back to veterans and first responders. But it's 3,070 miles across America, 24/7. 8 of us riders and 25 support folks.
Amazing.
So that was a moment where talk about clicking. And thinking and grounding yourself with all these questions you're asking. I got to dissect my whole life on that bike ride.
Oh my goodness.
In the dark. And they said I was riding the day shift. Well, they lied. They said day shift. I rode the majority at night. 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. was my shift with the team.
Oh my goodness.
Talk about a mental capacity. When we're training in Ironmans, you're in the daylight. You're riding through Indian reservation, dogs coming at you, trucks coming at you. Your mentality, I just took from all of my grit. And that mentality of pushing through to all your questions and work and putting it on the pavement. And just pedaling from Oceanside, California to Annapolis, Maryland as a team.
Amazing.
So it's like you put yourself out there to learn about yourself.
That is really special. And I love what you said. It was how much you learned about like that time alone. And that's obviously some of when I say alone, with a team, but in that moment, being present, actively engaged in this activity, that's where it all happens. That's where all the magic happens. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm visualizing myself on the bike.
There you go. That's what happens. You start visualizing and, support. I've had folks coming up and saying, are you doing it again next year, which is 2023? And I'm like, you know what? It keeps landing. Every day someone's asking this.
Wow.
So is the universe tapping to do it again?
Yeah.
And it's like bringing a high-performance team together with personality. There's a whole other dynamic to that.
Well, that's really special. Okay, so let me think about it this way, because you've been talking about teams so much. You understand that that's the bread and butter of the success of companies and ultimately anything significant has to be done. That's my saying. I said, if there's going to be anything of significance and meaning, it's going to require more than one person.
Yes.
You can have an amazing individual accomplishment, but if there's going to be something significant, I'm sure you've had your moments as an athlete. You had one of the best games of your life and you didn't win the game.
Amen.
No significance, right? So who are some of the people, whether they were mentors or that you would say have really, poured into who you have become?
Oh, I love that question.
Share that, because, self-made, I think we know what we're saying, but also I fight against the concept, because some people are saying like self-made, like I did all this, but I'm like, well, who signed your checks?
Right.
So talk to me about some of those people in your life.
I would say one gentleman, an Indian man, Sam, saw me when I came out of college. Sam. I love him, still talk to him to this day. In my 20s, he believed in me. He was the one that moved me around every 2 years with these telecoms.com. Amazing. And I used to get so frustrated at him. I would go up to his office and say, why are you moving me around? Every time I get something to where it's running, you'll move me. He goes, because you have a management talent, Rhonda, and I want you to turn around these different teams.
Amazing.
And I would be like, please don't. And he goes, you'll thank me later in your career. And I thought about on Race Across America, if he didn't keep moving me, I probably would have, that kept me pivoting, turning, creative,
yes,
bringing that whole newness. That's why I like to move. Movement's medicine. Let's move.
Did y'all get that though? The movement is medicine. So don't be afraid. Ooh, man, that was good.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of them. And, General James Cartwright, 4-star, Heaton military.
4-star. Okay, give me the background. Give me the back. I'm soaking it all up.
we spoke at the vice presidential debate a couple of years ago about
Amazing.
cybersecurity, and I met him, and he's taken me under his wing.
Amazing.
And I can't say enough about him, and I'm connected to the veterans
Sure.
world, probably because of my dad and him. So he's another prominent one.
Tremendous.
And a gentleman that didn't need to do that. And
That's beautiful. When you can recognize it, right? It's like when you can recognize, people, everybody in their own lane, but someone sees, it's the most valuable, in my personal estimation, when you can see something in someone and recognize the value of an individual and actually pour something into it, it's probably the most life-giving kiss that you can give to someone's life, career, trajectory.
it is.
That's really powerful.
And you know what? And I guess I didn't know it till later on. They're all men. They saw, isn't that interesting?
So that is interesting.
These days, back then, I never, I thank them every day.
Sure.
We didn't have all these other conversations going on. And
Yeah.
since then, we've had conversations about it's today's world.
Sure.
And I'm so grateful for them.
Yes.
And there's not many female role models. Well, there weren't any when I was
There
growing
weren't
up.
any.
Tech.
And that's, well, like I said, it's so amazing because, what I love is progress. What challenges me sometimes in some of these, especially some of these DEI conversations is the bitterness that can be attached to some of the conversations or I won't say the entitlement, because there needs to be progress. There needs to be progress across gender lines, religious lines, like every major line there is, whether it's gender, race, ethnicity. But when you're coming from an embittered or I'm like, can we approach that differently?
Right.
So, most of these were men, and like I said, you were playing your lane in this world, and it's served you well, and now you're sitting at the top, coveted by most. So tell me about Grit and Grind. You're the author of 2 books.
Yes.
Tell us, what's the name of the other book?
It's a Dummies book on that yellow and black book, How to Manage Enterprise Service Management for Dummies.
Yeah,
Technology.
So that would be me, and I'm probably I don't know if I'm going to be managing any enterprises, but I'll probably need that. So, but Grit and Grind is where we're at, and that was a big part of how we connected, just kindred spirits, right? What are people going to get when they read, that book? Because you have a lot of bandwidth in relation to so many different areas. So what's the essence?
Well, thank you for this book.
Yes.
This I didn't tell anyone I was writing it.
I'll
Thank
roll
you.
this right here. Don't worry.
Thank you.
You can reach across the table.
Thank
I'm
you.
a big
I'm
fan.
honored.
We're here.
Thank you. I'm honored that you're holding it. It's it came from, I didn't tell anyone I was writing it.
You just
did
knock
on
this
planes.
out.
Over the years, because you know why? I didn't want the pressure.
Okay.
Of
See.
what's the deadline? I wanted to do it intentionally, the way, and not back into a deadline. And I released it on my mom's birthday, on Women's Day.
Love it.
Intentionally in March.
Excellent.
A couple years ago, COVID resurfaced it because everyone was like, it's about principles of life and how you work through all of these changes.
Sure.
And what the top 10 principles on how I live my life and leadership. About teamwork, listening, communication, being on time. Time is currency. I mean, seriously, and just grinding it out because, and it was from the gentleman. I can start naming off tech companies where they would say, can you please write a book? I'm like, why? What am I going to write about? This was hard to write for the stories. It was hard for me to write that.
And talk to me about okay, so I'm going to pull from one, because you just said time is currency. And most people probably, it takes a little bit of life living. And, this picture is just epic, because I think it's an expression of beauty. But, you know, this woman gets in the trenches. She gets in the trenches. I'm going to block my face out for a while so people can see that.
That's dirt.
But that's real dirt.
That's real dirt. People are like,
we ain't got dirt like that in Jersey.
Cow manure, fertilizer, you name it's on there. And you know what? It was like to represent, you go into the details, you get dirty, you learn the details, and it's about like the gritty of it, like just to feel it. And on the bottom of the book, it has, I actually wanted it texturized, but that's a part of the grit.
Details, y'all. Details, y'all. We ain't cutting no shorts here. So, all right, you're gonna give me a couple nuggets from time, because I'm a time stickler. Coach Coughlin was known for being 5 minutes early. He set the clocks early in the building.
Love it.
We all rebelled against it the first year. Well, not me, because I had hard-nosed coaches in college. So I had 1 year with a previous coach, and then Coach Coughlin came in and shifted the whole culture. So, like, time is like, you know, and my wife is fantastic as well, but she's, you know, it's a lot. I gave her a lot to manage, so time can easily be mismanaged. So talk to me about a couple nuggets in this space, because I'm like, time is sacred. That's my thing. I'm like, it's sacred. You're not getting it back. And so talk to me a couple nuggets so you can help.
Well, I think time is respect. And I think that people don't take it seriously. Sure. In today's world and in the workplace, I used to get called from HR all the time on this early on. I would actually lock the door to meetings if you were a minute late, or if they came in late, they had to sing a nursery rhyme. Oh. And I would Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The team would vote on it. What are you going to sing if you're late? And people they're like, you really want me to sing? I remember getting calls from HR going, Rhonda, you're making people sing. I'm like, they're late. How else are people going to learn? They're not. It's not like, you know, you could sing Merry Christmas or anything you want. Pick a song. And then you know what? Over 3 times in a couple weeks, people started being on time.
Ain't nothing like a good old dose of humiliation.
Yeah, I mean, let's sing, lock the door.
Sure.
You tell everyone why you're late. Because what I try to do is, no one needs an hour meeting. It's 42 minutes on Zoom. You can have, that's the way you've built in your transition time. Go to the bathroom. There's no excuse to be late. Get your water. Yeah. No 30 minutes. It's 22 minutes. 22 to 42. No excuses to be late. And on Zoom, especially during COVID, if you were 30 seconds late, people start anxiety. So I've built these times. And I just think it's so powerful that, I mean, 1 split second, your catch. Just imagine how the time and the essence of, I mean, it's just the whole puzzle and that's my pet peeve is time. And you say go, you're going to go. It's like a race. Every meeting is like, okay, here's the meeting time. Let's go.
Well, you said it perfectly. You know, I mean, the clearest adage in relation to time and you know, like, it's obviously it's your first impression. If you're late to meetings, it means you don't value the opportunity or the person. And that's the first thing it speaks, right? It speaks, your actions obviously speak. And I think the next thing that I learned, I was like, man, you know, because I lock doors too. I like, you know, and I learned that from the guy who, you know, mentors and disciples me. And I was like, this is fantastic. I love it. And ultimately, their actions will have to change. Like you get locked out a couple of times. You're like, wow,
right?
Yeah, he's keeping his word,
right?
Right. So it speaks something about you. This is really powerful. I love it.
My friends, like, if they're running late, like I get 15-minute rule. I'll get up and leave a dinner. If someone's late, I'm gone.
Boom.
I mean, and people, they're used to that. Like I'll be on time, or I'll be 5 minutes. If I'm late, oh my, I don't.
Yeah, and that's the worst. In humble's sake, you know, we fall short.
We're not perfect.
No, there we go.
Something
We fall short.
happens,
It's a life standard.
Coming here, I was like blocked out hours. I'm like, what's the traffic? I'm not going to be late. Like you have to plan because I respect you so much and your family. And it's just lock the door.
Yes.
I would tell more people to lock their relationships and only like the energy drainers, the givers and takers.
Woo.
That's how I value time too.
Lock the door, because I'm telling you, they're stealing your time, and it diminishes credibility.
It does.
It diminishes credibility. A few things than devaluing time, I think, can diminish credibility. This is really so good. I'm just heating up. Okay.
Love it. I love that we're kindred spirits.
All right, so I'm telling you, this is my friend. She's my friend forever. Can't you tell? So, all right. So here's something I do want to talk about. You're a seasoned professional, and now how long have you? But you are married now. This hottie is married. She's not on the market. She's taken, but that may have come a little later. So talk to me about, just that dynamic, right? How has that worked out for you? Most women, of course, aspire, and we're fluid, but you aspire to find that significant person in your life. How was that dealing with it through your working years?
Great question.
I know the way you're wired. You finally found your husband. Talk me through some of that dynamic.
That was, and that's a great question. I wish more people asked that in my career. So I intentionally made this decision in my 20s not to have kids.
Wow, Rhonda.
I know.
You're too beautiful not to have any kids.
That's so nice of you, David. Thank you. I did. And my girlfriends actually said to me at the time, "What? We want you to have kids, grow up," because since 2 years old, 3 going back to the childhood.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm sorry, Michelle. I'm sorry." Like, my best friend was crying. I want to give back to the world differently. I didn't know what that meant, but I wanted to have kids around the world and people around the world, which I do.
Yeah.
And I give back to causes and kids, and I'm very close to specific countries like South Africa and India. I just got back from in Africa.
Sure.
So I intentionally made that decision.
Excellent.
Now, when I look back on it, I don't regret it.
Okay.
I don't. And I think more people need to be intentional about that.
Sure.
But I have godchildren. My best friends, I have godchildren. I have children I adopted around the world.
Amazing.
And I think that it's important to talk about that.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you're taking the opportunity to, because it's definitely, my goodness, it's a unique, the level of intention is amazing. I'm like, how do you have that kind of foresight at 20 years old when that's typically not just the norm? It's an endearing experience, and one that's treasured, especially amongst well, trust me, I'm out here. I got 7 kids. So see my beautiful wife. I'm like, you gonna have some kids. I took the lead on you. We gonna have some kids. We had kids way too early. That was our problem. But so that is an amazing mindset. So you were clearly a visionary. Like, you are a pioneer. Not just as a professional, I think you have just a pioneering mindset.
Thank you.
It's pretty powerful. So how did you meet Jay, and how did that become, was it tough settling in? What were relationships like? I can only imagine. Now you got this dude up in your face, and he got an opinion about your life. You've been leapfrogging the world. I got to know. So now, and give me was it tough even dating through those years? Was that a thing?
Yeah,
Were people intimidated by you? I'm like, you got some stuff going. I'm sure you got an opinion about most things.
Yes, and I'm quiet about it.
Okay.
When I get quiet, there's something that some people need to what's going on, Rhonda? Because I'm thinking, and it'll come out. But I am an extrovert, but I do think a lot.
Got it.
And I'm very intentional with my decision making. But yes, it was hard. Yes, it was hard during all that.
Sure.
And I didn't have my eyes on the prize for that. My eyes were always on, I want to change and make a difference. What's the business? This is on my watch.
Sure.
Not on my watch am I going to let someone deviate and take me off and intercept my game.
I got it.
So my sports mentality early on was you guys are just distractions. I am keeping my eyes on that goalpost, and my career is I'm going forward. I do not want to be caught in a safety. I don't want to be caught in that.
I love it.
I want to be in the end zone with a touchdown in every move I made. And people be like, my girlfriend's like, what's wrong with you?
Wow.
I'm like, maybe something is wrong with me. I I love to dress up. I love to have fun. But you know what? I knew I wasn't going to have kids, David, and I just knew it was a time.
Sure.
I move so fast.
You do.
Still.
You're a blazer. Well, this is beyond a trailblazer. This is because, like I said, what I think is really refreshing about it, because it's rare that people, can actually gaze in on something that's so long term, and it be a genuine thing. I mean, like this sounds very genuine, like because I tell you all the time, I'm one of these honest people. Like I have all kinds of regrets, not like regrets like I mourn over.
Right.
I mean, like, man, I wish I didn't do that. Man, I know better now. Like I'm wiser now. So it's actually very refreshing to hear that, because it's not like you missed the world by not having children. That's not the impression. But it is an experience that's so unique to most people as individuals, where you reflect back on it and say, wow. But this, like I said, you have children around the world. You're clearly wired for impact. You're clearly wired for growth, change. DT3 is 3 T's: truth, transparency, and transformation. Like this is why we're family. This is pretty powerful.
I love it. I'm not going to name the name because I'm still processing what he said to me last night. He said to me, a prominent CEO, he said, Rhonda, I've known you for 17 years now and you never deviated. I said, why are you just not telling me this? Like I jumped and I was like, where's this coming from? I said, what does that mean? He's like, you've always been, nothing, like you know what you're doing. I admire you. How did you, we're the same age. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I'm just wired that way.
Sure.
I don't want distractions. If I have distractions, I deal with them. If you get a call from me before 8 a.m., you know something's wrong. Like I deal with the hardest things before 8 a.m.
Wow.
And that's how my life is. Intentional every time I wake up.
Okay. I was just taking notes because I'm going to be dealing with the hardest things before 8 a.m. So just so my wife knows, we're going to have a conversation early. No.
Any friends? No.
Amazing.
I mean, intentionally. So my whole life has been, yes, it's hard. I have my own identity and I won't deviate from it. I will never deviate from that book.
So let me pull it. So now you're married, and marriage, if you're going to have a healthy, strong one, you got to be willing to change. So how does that work out for you? Like, meaning like, here you are the master of, I'm going to give you that code, not you. You can keep you in a humble lane. But this is what you do. Now your husband rolls around and he's now supposed to be your mirror. How does that? Have you gotten into those experiences where now he's putting the glass on you and it's like, do I need to change?
We've had those conversations. You guys are so wired, and one thing about it is like he loves to see it flourish. Go out, and most men go out and be you. I don't want you to ever. Yeah. So otherwise, I wouldn't be.
Got it.
Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be married. Seriously, I mean, in a different way. I mean,
that makes sense.
He flourishes and loves it, and it supports. He's not.
It's excellent.
He's not like
far from intimidated. I got that very quickly. And I think he has to be. You got to know what you're choosing, right?
Like on the golf course, let him be him. But and the difference. I'm so blessed with that, or I wouldn't be. And he's so genuine and so supportive of all race across America. These triathlons, swimming with the Navy SEALs in the Hudson River. Yeah, he's so confident in himself, which means not ego. But that had to be a conversation.
Of course. Transparency.
Exactly. Trust.
Putting everything on the table. And that's pretty powerful. And honestly, if you want to know how to have a thriving relationship, not just within your personal relationship, it's going to be similar qualities, right? In communication.
Yes, the degree.
Yeah, there it is.
That came out with that, believe me. So that, and all of his friends know it too. So it's wonderful, and the industry, and I don't, it's coveted.
Sure. All right. So here's something else I want to think about. Like, share with me your top 3 companies that you got a chance to work with that they were the most delightful? I mean, like, so,
great question.
you know, just like, you know what, these are some well-known companies, or maybe not as well-known, that were like, these were experiences that he's like, okay, they brought me in and we really accomplished something that was powerful.
I love that. So Bank One, JP Morgan, because we merged.
And what was your role? Did you have a title there, or was it?
Yes, I started out with managing director. I think I was one of the youngest female managing directors in the finance sector.
Yeah, I want to bring out some highlights.
Well,
yes.
Thanks for asking. It was of infrastructure and operations around the world, the command centers. Amazing. And we merged those two banks. That was enlightening. All those gentlemen were still my friends. I love you all. Ivano, I can start naming names. Literally, that supported me.
We give shout outs here, Kestimo.
That supported me. And
amazing.
We're still friends to this day. Tremendous. And that's when we started, hiring in India. Those were moments.
Powerful. Lehman
Brothers, even though it went under, I stayed on. I moved to Barclays.
Okay, you got to talk through that, because pretty much the world, anybody who didn't have their head under cloud knows that transition.
Yeah, so I was at Lehman Brothers. I got recruited there 9 months before the world went belly up. So I went from JP Morgan to Lehman Brothers. Got a call that Sunday that we were unwinding the place. And I was like, are you kidding me? The whole world is collapsing.
Yes.
And I stayed on, and we renamed it to Barclays. And I moved to London.
Wow, that's pretty
cool.
cool.
And I was over retail operations, so I was always in technology operations, but I stayed on. It looks like I moved around, but all these mergers and acquisitions are very common denominator wise. But that was a moment for the world.
Heck, for the world. Absolutely for the world. Now, just want to take notes. So she's already talked about India, London, South Africa, I'm just naming some key places, but I want, I've been in New Jersey my whole life, so just want y'all, just to compare, I'm pretty well versed, Jersey's very.
You are amazing. Look at this. My goodness.
All the places I've been is basically, we're like the most domestic. We're like.
You could come to Cape Town.
7 kids kind of hinders your travel plans.
Yes.
But this is amazing. Okay, give me one more company.
Estee Lauder companies, because over 30 brands, and great, beautiful place to work. How's that?
It's great. And that makes sense. And it fits you well. So, like, I think it's important. Like, I grew up in a house of all women. So, like, I think women are the most amazing creatures that God has created. I think that we're different. Men and women are obviously clearly different. But I think that the grace that are on women inherently is one that encompasses a little bit more measure of grit and grind than most men, although I think men have the streamlined, like, when a man kind of dials in on something, it's sweet to see. But women altogether, their capacity to manage and diverse and marry the grit, and you probably are one of the greatest examples, I think, that I got a chance to meet of seeing a woman operate. And my wife, I got to shout her out every day, all day, but at a higher performance capacity and be able to do so much, improve worth. So I just can't celebrate you and honor you enough. Get us up to date on, on what Rhonda Vetere is up to. The accomplishments are immeasurable, but ultimately what you're most excited about moving forward.
What I'm most excited about is continue to give back to the world. So wherever I show up, I want to continue that legacy. So India, I had no idea, Dave, when I went over there, what was going to happen. I had no idea the I Can, I Will Academy is for STEM for the world is in my name.
It's in your
Biodiversity Park. I mean, I knew that the global ambassador with the chief prime minister, I knew all the keynote. I knew that, but I did not know all my work came full circle. And to be honored like that, I had a moment, like, you asked me about my moments. I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, my whole career has come
that must be
full circle. And I want to put I want to help the world, because that goal is to be the next MIT internationally. That's an international university.
Wow.
So I'm excited to give back. And guess what? It's for the underprivileged, like myself, growing up to make sure people have an education. And I'm going to bring doctors, athletes, medical, tech, wellness. I'm going to bring So I'm excited to give back that way in that biodiversity park for sustainability. Was acres. So in Cape Town, to continue to put those girls through school and empower them with their dreams. That was my third year doing that. So I will continue to do that for the world.
Amazing.
Within the certain nuggets. So I don't want to dilute myself.
Sure.
I'm very intentional, and I want to help people that want to be helped. That's a big difference.
I just want y'all to know, I know y'all gonna watch this episode, it's gonna be amazing, but I'm first in line. So y'all, just in case you got any bandwidth for anyone, just back up.
We are kindred, we're attached, we are doing stuff. But yes, that's a big difference, that giving and receiving. Some people say they want help, but they really don't.
Oh gosh. So it's so true. And like I said, I've worked in athlete development, and you'll be surprised. It's amazing how, and I tell the biggest blindfold that a guy has can be a success, because the modern day football athlete, by the time he comes in, he's a celebrity already, and then you get money, and that's like that seals the deal. So it actually validates every previous behavior that they had, because they've made it become the best of the best, and now they actually got the money to almost validate all the poor decisions that they've made.
That's insane.
And so there's so many amazing young kids, so don't get me wrong, but at the same time, because it takes a narrow lens to be a high performer, and it's hard for them to entertain areas of growth, which some degree when you're 20 into 26, which is most of these guys, I get blind spots, but it's tough. It's tough. They're not as receptive, and that you just don't want that to go on to your 40 and 50, and there's folks out there who've got similar blind spots.
It's crazy. And I just want to help people get the right jobs, no matter if they're identity, like athletes, veterans, first responders, just people that have that identity crisis when we were growing up.
Sure.
No one reached down and helped. And I'm all about, because and I'm like, I want to do that for everyone I touch. If they want help, not the takers, the people that need the help. And I can spot the people, when we saw, who your people are, and you're going to help them. That's and powerful. I can pinpoint them. And I don't know, it's an energy thing as well. And
energy, discernment, and
pick up on it.
You can see it. You can see it. You can feel it. You can experience it. But you are a woman of inspiration.
Thank you.
You've already been a blessing. Your life actually goes before you in a way of generational impact across the world. Not many people will ever say that, and not many people can say that. So we're honored to have you as like a premier guest. I don't know, we're going to roll this out. This is special. So thank you, Rhonda. Thank you for being a guest. We're honored to have this seat at the table. Make sure you get a copy of Grit and Grind. She is not just grit and grind, she's all grace as well. Rhonda Vetere, change agent in the world. Make sure you check out Catch the Moment podcast on every platform. We will continue to see you at your next moment. Continue to get great done.